Howdy, folks. Welcome to Mental Health Monday. My name is Kenneth Thomas, and on Mondays, I like to go live here on Facebook for a little bit to talk about different topics that have to do with mental wellness. So, what I wanted to talk about today is the benefit of long term thinking. Now, this is another one of those topics that I picked up having seen a meme type thing shared by a friend of mine. And it got me to thinking that it was some really good points. And let me go ahead and bring it up real quick. And here's what it is. It says it might take 30 days to create a habit, but the habit could change your life for the next 30 years. It might take you an hour to complete a workout, sometimes even less, but that will help you keep in a good mood for the next 12 hours. It might take you 30 minutes to complete a morning routine, but that will build momentum for the rest of the day. It might take 5 hours to read a book, but once you keep that knowledge, it can change you forever. It might take you 3 months to learn a new skill, longer, depending upon what the skill is, I guess. But that skill could make you millions, or it could just be something that helps bring you a lot of happiness. So long term thinking really is the key. So, in that vein, one of the things that I really like to point out to people is that there's a lot of things that I'm doing myself right now to rewire this brain. And a big part of what I'm doing is trying to do things with that long-term thinking. Um, as I've talked about before on some other ones, I had some really unhealthy habits. I was, in my mid to late 40s when I got out of the army, and I went from being fairly physically active to not really physically active at all. But I still kept trying to eat and have some of those kind of habits that I did for so many years. I was still trying to act like I was a 20-year-old soldier, and I wasn't. So that's one of those things that I had to change my mindset on. And another thing is that um I had a lot of unhealthy things that were happening to my body because of these changes. I developed type 2 diabetes. I gained a lot of weight. um but I got it in my head that I needed to change how I was thinking long term. Otherwise, I wasn't going to be around long term. And through doing, there's three things that I was using on a regular basis. I had a daily routine that I got into where I was having a shake that helped to control my glucose. I was taking a really good multivitamin and supplements, and I was making sure I was getting enough dietary fiber. And those three things right there, just those three things have changed my life forever. And how they did that was I had an A1C a little over a year ago. My A1C was at a 14 point something. And y'all have heard of me talk about this before. But now my A1C is down to around 7. Okay. The goal is to get it under that. And then the goal from that is to get to where I'm not so dependent on medications because I'm managing it through diet, exercise, and healthy habits. But this was the thing I had to change for this long term thinking to start making these changes in my life to be able to have a long term. What's the point of long term thinking if you're not going to be around long term? Well, I was killing myself, and I was killing myself quick. Um, and that was one of the things that I had to change in me. So, I had to develop that habit. And in doing that, I have changed my health. Now I'm doing a little bit more on that, and I'm changing my health even more. So that's one of those things that I had to get into that long-term thinking. And the benefit is that I am probably healthier now on the verge of 50 than I was when I was 45. Now, I still need to drop some weight. I still need to get some things taken care of. But you know what? I'm on a better path for better health now, going to be 50 this year, than I was 5 years ago. And it all changed because I got into this habit of thinking long term and what do I need to do in my life to do this and make these changes. Just like I'm doing some things now that are going to build and sustain things for me long term. It's taking a lot of effort now to build on this, to get into this habit. But that is building for that long-term thinking. A lot of people think short term. I'm going to do this and I'm going to get this, and it's an instant gratification thing. Well, that's fine for some things, but the real benefit to being able to calm your mind, to be able to focus on the things that matter in your life, is to think long term, because high effort put in things, it's going to take a lot of time. If it's not building towards something that's long term and where it's got residuals coming from it, like for a residual income, for example, then you're going to just have to keep running at that pace. And that's not really sustainable. So you need to start thinking long term, because that long term thinking will help you realize what you need to be doing now to move on toward where you want to be. But if you're only thinking about putting the next foot in front of each other, which is good in a way, but if you've never put your mind on where you want to be down the road, all you're ever going to have is that short-term vision. You're only going to have short-term goals. You're only going to have a short-term strategy. And this can be very wearing on you mentally. It can increase your stress. It can increase your anxiety level. It can impact your cardiovascular health. There's all kinds of things that this can do to you if you don't shift from having short-term thinking to long-term thinking. Now, I'm not saying that you don't keep your eye on that 50-meter target, but if you never look past that 50 meters, you're always going to be in that short-term reactive thing. So getting to where you start to think long-term, getting to where you formulate the steps that you're going to take, to get out to 300 meters, to get out to a kilometer, what do I need to do in the next 10 meters? Where do I need to be planning for 50 meters? Where do I need to be planning for 100 meters? And, because anytime you're making a journey, you need to plan where you're going to rest. You need to plan where you're going to refuel. You need to plan where you're going to hydrate. You're going to need to plan where you're taking your nature breaks. So it's the same kind of thing. If you don't have that long-term thinking, if you don't have that long-term goals that you're working toward, then you don't know how to place those intermediate goals. So once you have that long-term thinking, once you have those intermediate goals planned out, now you can see where you are, and you can check to see that you're making your progress. Looking ahead 50 meters, am I where I'm expecting to be? Am I where I'm wanting to be? Am I doing what I need to be doing? But if you haven't done any long-term thinking, you're not thinking about anything other than your immediate survival and your immediate needs, and it's gonna stress you out. It is going to eat you alive. You're just it's just not healthy. It's gonna freak you out. It's gonna make you stressed. So The biggest thing that I really want people, and I'm gonna bring this back up because I think it's worth looking at. You know, it might take you 30 days to create a habit because that's typically what it takes. But how long is that habit gonna benefit you? It can be years. You know, having a rough day, get in a little bit of a workout because that's gonna boost your mood. It's gonna get you some endorphins. It's gonna make you feel better. It might take you a little bit of time to complete your morning routine. It's just like I remember an admiral or a general that had a speech that he would give, and he was like, the first thing you need to do every day is make your bed and do it right. And the reason is because, and the reason this was a big deal for him was because he checked off right after he got out of bed. He'd get up, he'd make his bed, and he's already checked off one thing and he knows it was done right. So he knew the rest of the day was going to follow just like that. And it's the same kind of thing with building your momentum for the rest of the day, getting up, getting into your morning routine. It's like, I got to get up this morning. I got to get my girls ready to go out to school. Got to make sure they have their meds. Got to make sure they have all their stuff that they're supposed to in their backpacks. But this is me building momentum, not just for myself, but for my daughters, so that they can have a good day. So that builds that momentum for all of us for the rest of the day. I spend time reading. I spend time listening to podcasts. I spend time watching videos that are all about trying to help me become more knowledgeable and better at what I'm trying to do. And this knowledge is mine once I have acquired it. Until I go senile and I just forget everything. You know, that's probably going to happen at some point. I don't know. I plan on being around long enough to find out. So, and just like I'm doing now with going live, just like I'm doing now with how to work with social media and how to reach out to people, this is something that's taken me, I'm only about maybe getting into, maybe 2 months that I've been doing this. Probably only about maybe a month and a half of doing this on a regular basis. And it's taken me some time to build these skills. You can look back at some of the stuff on the earlier playlist, and let me tell you, you can see the difference in what I'm doing. But all of that, I knew where I wanted to be doing this. I'm still not quite where I want to be, but I'm getting there. I mean, there's different things that I want to do. There's some things that I want to try. It's going to take a little bit of effort to get them. It's going to take a little bit of money, but hey, I can build and work toward those things, So get that long-term thinking going. It will help you to identify your long-term goals, which identifies your intermediate goals, which identifies your immediate goals. And now you have a plan. You now have a way to move forward. The other big thing that this is going to do for you is, as you may find, okay, how many of you have ever driven and you're driving through the city and you come on the route you always take, and it's closed. This section of road that you always drive on is closed because they're working on the sewer system or whatever it is they're doing, but the road is closed. So now you have to take a detour. Does this mean that you're not going to get where you're going? No, you're still going to get there, but you may have to react to things and you may have to go around that obstacle, that detour. But if you don't have the long-term thinking, if you don't have that destination in mind, when an obstacle hits you in front of you, you have no clue how to get around it. You don't know where it is you're trying to go. So, how the heck do you know what way you need to go around, over, through, under? How are you going to deal with this obstacle? If you don't have that long term thinking, these things that happen in life, could be health issues, it could be a natural disaster, it could be all kinds of things that could happen. Life happens. And when it throws you the unexpected, having long-term thinking allows you to have a better way to react to those things rather than just being in that immediate reactive panic, stress, anxiety mode. So Figure out where it is that you're wanting to go and make your plans. Plan your steps. Take your steps. It really can be that easy. And that's part of what the big deal is for me with Team 10KO. But that's a whole nother story. So until next time, folks, peace, love, and photography. And remember, everything can make a beautiful image, including you. You guys have a great afternoon. I'll see you tomorrow for tips and tricks on Tuesday's tips. And if you're following me, if you're seeing this on Facebook, sorry, I'm still getting, like I said, I'm still getting used to doing this. I keep forgetting to do this stuff before I do my sign off. If you're seeing this on Facebook, please give me a like, throw a comment down there. If you got to get live, if you're watching this on replay, give me a hashtag replay, and please follow me so that you can know when the next videos are coming out. And if you're seeing this on YouTube, give me a like and subscribe. And I hope to see some comments there to tell me what do you like, what do you want to know more about. And again, remember, everything can make a beautiful image, including you. Bye.